afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lisa Loves Stitchin studio vlogs. My name's Lisa. I'm coming to you from Brisbane and it's the 1st of May 2022. Where has the year gone? We've had Easter since we last spoke, and I've been to visit my family in Newcastle for the first time in over 2 years. It was amazing, and it's now officially like winter, even though it's warmish. It has been quite cool today because we've had a bit of rain. And yeah, we've had 3 long weekends in a row, which has been awesome. So we had the Easter long weekend, then Anzac Day long weekend. And if you're not familiar with Anzac Day, Anzac stands for Australian New Zealand Army Corps, and it's a day to commemorate Australians and New Zealanders lost in World War II, World War I and all the other wars. And so that we have a day of remembrance last Monday. And then this weekend is the long weekend for Labor Day weekend, which is Monday is the public holiday. So it's been wonderful having 3 long weekends in a row, which meant that last weekend I was able to go to Newcastle and visit my family. So I caught up with my brother and sister-in-law and their sons and their families and all the kids, and it was amazing. I got to meet I had one great nephew that I had never met because he was born during the pandemic. I have another great niece that I was hoping would be there, but they weren't well, so I hadn't met her either. So anyway, it was great to see everybody, and I got to see my mum and my nan, and it was just so good to have hugs in person. There's nothing quite like it. It's something I really missed with those visits home. So yeah, so that fed my soul a little bit and will get me through the rest of the year, I think. Work's been pretty stressful because we've lost some team members, so yeah, it's full on. Hopefully they'll get some replacements soon. That will ease the workload a little bit, but yeah, for the next little while it's going to be a bit stressful. Yeah, so if you're having a long weekend this weekend, I hope you're having a relaxing one and you're getting lots of crafting in. Yesterday Wayne and I had a bit of what you'd call a sprinkle party or a potting party, and we had got some seeds recently, so we went to Bunnings, and that's our big hardware store, and we purchased a couple of pots because they were out of stock of most of the ones that we wanted, the size that we wanted. Got a couple of bags of potting mix and a few more seeds of veggies and to put in our pot plant garden, and which we have on our balcony at the front of our house, which gets lots of sunshine and it's up high, and so yeah, the plants seem to really thrive on the balcony, which is great. So yesterday we potted those up, so we planted some sugar snap peas, beetroot, Brussels sprouts, was that all of the veggies? We've already got brown onions growing, as well as cos lettuce and radishes and tomatoes, which the tomatoes are getting fruit on them, that they're looking really good. Oh, I bought a mint plant, so I potted that up because Wayne really loves to have this drink that we get normally. Sorry, that's just gonna move that a second, because Wayne, that's just bumping on the table. Sorry, I just don't want it shaking. It'll make you seasick. So, yeah, Wayne has a drink that he really likes that we get from Cafe 63, which is a chain of cafes here in Brisbane. I don't know if they're anywhere else. But anyway, they make a drink called the Dropkick, which he really loves. And it's basically just a slushy drink, frozen drink of watermelon, mint and ice, all Well, they put the mint in as whole leaves, which isn't as palatable because you've got these big leaves that you got when you're trying to drink your drink, you get a mouthful of leaves. So I just use our little tiny blender with a stick blender, and I put the ice in and the leaves, the mint leaves, like just a handful of mint leaves, and blend that up because it's easier to do the ice when it's not wet, and blend that up. And then once I've done the ice, I add in, I've got like a quarter of a watermelon, and I just chop it up into chunks, and I do it in batches because my little thing's only like that round. But if you've got a bigger food processor, you could do it all at once. But anyway, I put the chunks of watermelon in, blend that up with the ice and mint, and then I pour it into a big jug. And you can make extra and put it in travel cups in the freezer, and it's great he likes it for when he's driving to work and stuff like that, and it's super healthy. So I made that for him, and I bought the mint plant so that we have more mint on hand. I may buy a second mint plant just so we don't obliterate one. It's got time to recover. So yeah, so I made him a Dropkick, and we bought the mint plant, which we planted up in a pot. And our basil I'm going to have to do something with because it's like about 1 meter tall. And those sorts of things thrive on being picked, and we're just not getting through it quick enough. So what I might do is pick up some parmesan, and I've got some, I know it's not pine nuts, but I've got some crushed cashew nuts, so I might make a pesto with the basil, and we can use that in a dish. I think it said you can store it for up to 1 month in an airtight container in the fridge, so we might do that so that goes doesn't go to waste. And then what else? Oh, and I planted lots of flowers, so I put some larkspur, hollyhocks, cosmos, and what was the fourth one? Cornflowers. So they're all different colours, so that'll be nice. Pinks and purples and whites and that, so that should be pretty. Yeah, and our cos lettuce, I had some in a little punnet of 6. So I split those up and planted them out into bigger pots, 1 pot each, so they got room to spread their wings. So the cos lettuce is coming along really well. Yeah, so anyway, so we've been enjoying our gardening. It's sort of becoming a new hobby that we can do, something we can do together. And then this afternoon I gave them a feed of liquid, seaweed sort of liquid fertilizer, like sea salt. I don't know the exact brand of it, but it's like sea salt. And Wayne also, in the video, if you watched it, that I put up of the planning party, Wayne was fiddling with some cuttings. So we had this, I don't know what it's called. I put a picture here, there of it. And anyway, we had one that was like twice that height, and it had just gone and flopped over from the weight of its trunk because it was in too small a pot. So what he did was he cut that down to sticks about that tall, and they're about, I don't know, about that round. They got quite a trunk on them. So he had 3, and he just filled the pot again with soil, planted those in there, and we've given them a water and some fertilizer, so hopefully they will kick off again soon. They tend to regrow very quickly, and on our veranda all the indoory type plants grow like weeds basically. It's just the perfect environment for them because they have good sunlight, but it's not all day, like morning sunshine, and then they're protected a lot by the being under the canopy of the poinciana tree. To the if you're on our deck, it's to our left. If you're facing our house, it's to the right, and it sort of gives a lot of shade on one side of the balcony, so that's good. Yeah, so anyway, so that's all coming along nicely, and our tomatoes have got about, some of them have got about that long, maybe about 2 inches long, and maybe about that round. So they're coming along nicely. So it's really good. So hopefully we'll have some crops we can harvest. We've got carrots in. We'll see how they go. Yeah, so anyway, we're really enjoying that. So that's enough about gardening. The only other things I haven't done much variety of things to show you, so this is going to be short and sweet pretty much. So what will I show you first? I'll show you my cross stitch project. So if you're going to the retreat in June in Hobart, please look away, go and make a cup of tea and come back in a few minutes. It won't take long. But basically I'm going to put a picture up here of what I'm doing for the Smalls Exchange, which isn't going to be quite as small as probably it should be. But Cascade Brewery is just outside of Hobart in South Hobart, and it's the Tasmanian owned beer, and it's called Cascade Brewery. Anyway, it has a unique old-fashioned sandstone building, the original building for the brewery, and so I decided, because the retreat is in Hobart, to do something Tasmanian. So I'm replicating. I've designed a chart, a cross-stitch design for the brewery. So it's the brewery facade at the front, and then down the sides, because the event's happening on the weekend of the Dark Mofo Festival, which is a sort of like a pagan festival, and they have feasts and artwork and different things happening. Anyway, because it's happening that weekend, and the guest speaker, which I've mentioned before, the guest of honour is going to be Mojo Stitches. The retreat is called the Dark Mojo Retreat. So I'm putting Dark Mojo down the side 2022, and if I've got a picture, I'll insert it there of the design. If I haven't, you'll see it eventually. But this is what I've got done so far. And these windows are quite large, and they will have detail put into them of like the struts and everything and the blinds. But this is on Dusty Rose. Oh, Cocoa Dust, sorry. Cocoa Dust, hand-dyed 36 count linen by Number 12 Stitch Co. And I'm stitching it with DMC on 1 thread over 2. So this is what I have so far. So that's the front door of the brewery, and then there's these tall windows at the front, and then they're shorter as you go up. And so yeah, it'll go up about up here, and then it'll have Dark Mojo down the side of the building like banners. So yeah, so I'm enjoying doing this. There's a lot of stitches in here. I didn't do myself any favours with that, but luckily it's 1 thread over 2, which is much faster than, and the stitches sit neater than if you're doing 2 over 2. So yeah, so that's really nice. I'm enjoying stitching it, and it's actually quite easy, because once I go up to the next level, there's 3 rows between each set of windows. I just do the next sort of set of windows, but across the front, obviously, it's going to have Cascade Brewery, and then it'll have whatever the dates are on the front of the facade. So I still have to do another set of windows down this side. So yeah, so that building will be another set of windows wide. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying stitching it. So that's all I've been working on at the moment. But now that it's May Mania, I still have to focus on this, because the retreat's in June, on the 18th of June. I don't have much time to finish that, because I've got to fully finish it. So I'm just powering on with that. And then if I can get a big chunk of it done and I feel like it's doable, I might during the month switch over, because I hate switching out my frame, and this is the only frame I really like stitching with. But if I get a chance, I might try and work on some of the other projects that aren't my designs, just to get a few extra stitches done on those to catch up a little bit, because I haven't touched them for ages. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Or I might work on my Queenslander sampler, because I'm way behind on that one. It's just, it requires a lot of brain power, and lately, just with work being stressful and everything, I just haven't had the brain power for it. And at least that one is like fill in mostly. Once you do the outline of things, you can just sit there and mindlessly fill in the blanks. So pretty much yesterday I did pretty much that whole row there of windows and fill in. So yeah, really enjoying that. So that's my project so far. And luckily this project really only uses about 4 different colours. So the main part of the building is done in, of course it'll be right down the bottom, 3829, and the window trim is in 869, and the dark Mojo 2022 will be in a navy blue 823, and some of the accents will be done in 422. So 4 DMC colours, so that's pretty good. And I got these number 26 needles recently. I bought them in bulk. They're not a brand name or anything. They're only about 1 inch long. If I can show you there, they have a gold head on them, but the eye is quite large in height, and it's actually really easy to thread, and it's only 1 inch tall, so you actually get to use more of your thread, especially if you're using silks or fancy floss. You've got more room to go closer to the end of your thread length when you're stitching, so before you have to cut it. So really like these, so watch out. I might get some to put in my shop and just make up packs of them, like a pack of 5 or something. So watch that space. Okay, so that's that for the cross stitch. So that's all I've got to show you, I'm afraid, for cross stitch. I'll show you my, I restarted my latest project, which was 16th century lace. This is just a practice one to get to understanding how to read patterns. So it's in chunkier yarn, thread, and, you know, not pretty delicate thread in soft colours that I would normally go for. But it's really helpful to learn how to read the pattern. So the pattern is colour coded into red, green and blue. So you've got to follow the lines to work out the pattern. And it's been really helpful. So when I went away, I took my travel Globetrotter case from Harlequin Lace, which is my travel bobbin lace case. And unfortunately the strap broke, which was no fault of the product. It was a really good product, but it just must have, you know, it was just every now and then you might get one that's it just breaks for some reason. It's fixable. I'll take it to the bootmaker and he can sew on the new strap with the cabochon, so I can put the strap over my shoulder. But the case is brilliant. So that's where I'm up to on it. I'm just starting on the fancier pattern. And yeah, so I've just done some basic weaving, and now I'm starting on the fancier lace, and then you just take the wedge out every time you want to move the wheel. So that travelled really, really well. I mean, I had heaps of pins, massive counting pins, the bigger pearl-headed pins and everything. I even had my, where is it? I even took with me in the case my pin pusher lifter. That's quite sharp on the end, but anyway, that all went through security. They didn't even stop and question it, no problem. So if you're looking to take that with you, no problem at all on the flight. It might be different for international flights, I don't know, but domestic in Australia, they didn't care. They did not care how many pins I took. So I'm just shutting this because I don't want it to... Oh, great, I'm dropping everything. Okay, so that was fine. Oh, and when I went through security, I had obviously my needle. I had a pack of about 50 of those needles in there. And I had my scissors, my embroidery scissors. Now, these have a bulbed nose, a rounded nose, so they're safety scissors. They get on no problem at all. They never even question it. As long as when you go through, they told me to do this, so I do it from now on. Open it out like that and lay it on the tray with your... So I usually put my bag in the tray for going through the x-ray machine with my scissors sitting on top, open. And I just let them know there's some blunt nose scissors going through, and they see that they can see that it's blunt nose because I've opened them out so they can see the shape as it goes through, and that just goes through, no question. They don't even stop and look at it. So that went through. And then I've never taken my metal knitting needles through before, my interchangeables. I was a bit concerned because normally it's wooden ones or whatever. I mean, not that it makes a difference, you know, if it's dangerous, it's dangerous. But I took my Zings, Knit Pro Zings through, and they never questioned that either. So yeah, if you're looking to travel, you can take all those things through and there's no problem. Especially as I always put my craft stuff in a tray on its own, separate to my bags. That way if it gets held up, it's not holding up all my bags. And they can see it's with your craft stuff, so they get the hint that it's not like a weapon of mass destruction. So knitting, I've made a lot of progress. So the last time I was still working on the increases, the raglan increases here, and I was about here. And now I've split for the sleeves. So let me just show you. And I'm just about to start I'm ready to start so it's all stockingette, and then you've got a garter band going around the bottom of the cardigan, and then on the edge of the sleeves, and then a garter stitch collar going all the way around. So I'm about to start the garter band at the bottom. So I've finished all the stockingette. So this is the front, obviously, and here are the sleeves. So I've split for the sleeves, and this is all yarn I've had in my stash, and that's how far I've got. I did have an issue because I got impatient, and when I got up to this bit, when I got halfway through this bit, I tried it on and it was caught on the lounge and I didn't see because it was behind me, and I pulled a bunch of stitches off and they didn't want to go back properly, and I'm like, oh my God, because I haven't had to pick up stitches that I've dropped to that degree. Like I haven't had to pull my needles out before and put a lifeline in after the fact. I've put lifelines in before something happens, but I've never had to backtrack. And I'm like, oh, is this going to work, or am I going to have to start again? Anyway, it took a lot of patience and I had to do it in parts, but I just threaded up a different coloured thread, picked up all the stitches on the right leg of all the stitches as I went through all the way from one side to the other, which was a lot of stitches. And you've got to be really careful to make sure you do definitely pick up that leg, otherwise it'll be dropped. And then I pulled the stitches out up above, like I pulled the needles out, and then I inserted the needles where I inserted the thread. And then once I'd put the needles through, and I'd pull the thread out, and then I just started unraveling the thread back to the point where I'd inserted my needles, and it was fine. I had one stitch I had to pick up, and that was fine. And you can't honestly, there was a few stitches at one end. I don't know if it's this end. No, must be this one. Okay, so there's a few stitches there, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, that are a bit winky wonky, but other than that, the rest of it's fine. You wouldn't know. And just looking at it, unless you've got a trained eye on it, you're not going to know. Who's going to know? Let me just pick this yarn up. So this yarn is one that I hand dyed myself. It's called Hydrangea Blue. It's sort of a blue with a lavender hue and a slightly mauvey tinge to it. Anyway, this is going to be the I can't get organised. This is going to be the garter band and the collar as well as the cuff on this cardigan, the Brook Green cardigan. So really nice pattern, very easy to follow, straightforward instructions, so definitely recommend it. I've only previously knit raglan cardigans like the vertebrae cardigan for the baby vertebrae cardigan for preemies. Yeah, so this was just as easy to follow, and I'll just show you because that's all the garters, like that's all the pearl bumps, but this is what it looks like from the back. Yeah, so I just picked colours that sort of toned in with each other. They're sort of spring colours. And then I thought this colour's going to frame it all nicely. So yeah, and I've got plenty of yarn left over to make another scrappy cardigan, so I think I will. Or I can make some hats. So don't discount those single skeins of yarn that you get that you're like, what am I going to do with that? You can intersperse leftover yarn in with those bigger skeins and use it all up. You don't have to have enough for a whole sweater quantity for, you know, because that's $300 or more to buy hand-dyed yarn to that level to make a whole cardigan. But you might have scraps left over from previous socks or something that you've knit, or scarves or shawls. You've always got that little bit left. Well, that's all I did, just an inch here, an inch there. I just left enough to put on either sleeve at the same level, and that's it. So it's a great stash busting pattern. So don't ever look at a pattern and go, oh, it's all that yarn, I can't afford to buy that much yarn. Have a look in your stash. It doesn't have to be one colour, it can be stripy. And I weaved in the ends as I went. So I've only got a couple of more ends to weave in, and then just whatever I've got left after I've done the garter thing, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, so that's what I have been working on, and I found more of this yarn, so I might have to make a hat to go with it. Yeah, so that's the knitting. So, do I have... I don't think I do. I don't. I've packed them away somewhere. They must be over the other side of my desk where I can't reach, but oh, they are. I can just see them there. I'll put a picture in here. I have some new anodized aluminium darning needles, and actually wait till I pause. Okay, I'm back. I've sold out of the red and green ones. I sold out the morning I listed them, and I only bought a few, so I have 2 of each of these colours in total. So I've got 2 gold, 2 purple and 2 blue left, and they're about, what did I measure? They're just over 2.5 inches long, and they're super light and nice to carry in your notions pouch to use when you're darning your socks or knitting, what am I saying, sewing in your ends. So they're in my shop. So I've ordered more, So hopefully they'll come sooner rather than later. But I still have 6 of these left in my shop, and I've tried to keep prices low so that it's economical for you and accessible. I try, where possible, not to be charging too high a price if I can, just to keep it accessible, but it is getting harder to do because Etsy are now charging 15% on the cost of selling and 15%, so 15% of the item, 15% of the money I receive for the item that I sell, plus 15% of the postal amount, so 30% in total comes off whatever I earn in Etsy for each item. So it's pretty expensive. So yeah, it's going to be harder and harder for me to keep prices as low as I have been. But yeah, I might have to increase prices soon. So yeah, I don't know. I'll see I'll reassess it at the end of the tax year. I'll see. And it's expensive to get a website and maintain that. So yeah, I was waiting to see if my sales increased enough to cover that cost, you know. So yeah, at the moment I'm not in a position to do that. Although thank you if you have ordered. I had a few orders this week, which is exciting because I had a drought of no sales, and it was so lovely to get about, I don't know, it was about 6 last week and 1 or 2 just the last couple of days. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it that you have stopped by my shop and made a purchase there, and I always try to get it off as soon as possible to you. I do have more yarn guide rings on order, but they can take a little while to come in. I've also ordered a new product to put in my shop, which you might have seen at yarn stores. It's like a silicone wristband with a metal like rectangle, like a watch, but it's magnetic. So it's like for if you want to put your knitting stitch markers on there that are metallic that can magnetize, or you want to put like your sewing needle on there so you don't lose it, or pins when you're sewing and stuff. You just have it on your wrist. And I can't remember, I think I got purple wristband and blue. Just a couple just to see how they sell, and if they do okay then I'll order more. But they were, you know, I didn't know how they'll go, so I thought I'll wait and see. But I have seen them at other yarn stores, so that's coming soon to my shop. So that's exciting. So that's all the shop update news. Acquisitions. Oh, you might have seen on, if you follow me on Instagram, I did sew, and I haven't got them here to show you, but I did sew in, I had to darn Wayne socks, so I made them about 5 years ago, and they're made from the wool Zauber balls. Anyway, I haven't been delicate with those. I have thrown those socks in on a cold wash. I haven't hand washed them or anything like that. They're still going strong. I've washed them 2 to 3 times a week for the past 5 years, and they haven't felted. Like, they're starting to get a bit funny now, but they have lasted like 5 years of hard wear. Wayne loves them. Anyway, they got some ladders in and some holes, so I didn't have yarn that matched them anymore, so I just used a near enough green colour. It's totally different, but anyway, doesn't matter. They're going in his shoe. It's not a fashion parade. So I managed to darn those, and now he can wear them again, and they'll get some more wear out of before they're totally dead. Anyway, so I didn't have that to show you, but you would have seen it if you follow me on Instagram. So Lisa Loves Stitchin on Instagram, Lillypillystitches on Instagram for shop stuff, and Lisa Loves Stitchin here on YouTube. And Lisa Loves Yarn 76 on Ravelry, but I don't update that very often. Just an FYI. Interestingly, I often tune in for the Knits and Pieces coffee chat, knit chats, which is if you're in Australia, it's Wednesdays. If you're in Canada, or North America, it's on Tuesday evenings. But it's a live video, and so you can tune in and chat and discuss all knitty things. So if you haven't tried it, get onto it. Knits and Pieces, and it's Knit Chats. And they have separate podcast episodes, but these ones are just a weekly Zoom session, almost like a live session, but you can chat, and they have sometimes got giveaways, which I won some Barber cords. I was so excited, plus a little satchel that has their logo on, and some stitch markers, so that's coming to me. And you wouldn't believe it, the night before I ordered some Barber cords, because after I dropped those stitches, I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. And I saw this new product out that are called Barber cords. And they're these silicone stretchy cords, and they come in 3 different lengths, and you can get them in all sorts of bright colours and stuff. Mine are red. So yeah, so they come like that. And they're in, oops. They're in a tin. If I can get them back in again, I can show you. So they're the Knitting Barber and the original Barber cords. And they come in 150 centimetres, 75 centimetre, and a different one that's shorter. Anyway, all you do, if you want to, you might want to hold your stitches on when you split for the sleeves, or you want to try your garment on, to lengthen the cable so you don't have to take the stitches off and put them onto something else. All you do is, this is like got a hollow hole in the end, and it's silicone, so you push it on the end of your needles and it doesn't come off. Like that. And you do that on the other side, and then you've got this big circumference, so you can stretch your stitches out over it, try on your jumper, your sweater, or your cardigan, and then see if it fits, and then you can take it off, and then remove the cable, removes easily off the end, and then you can keep on knitting without having to remove your cables and stitches off your needles. It's all a pain, especially if you've got hundreds of stitches. You don't want to have to do that. So look out for those in yarn shops. I won't have them. But I think So Sweet Violet has them in her shop, Jules, if you're in the UK. And lots of yarn stores in the US and Canada have them. And also some yarn shops. So I got mine from the Yarn Bowl at Banyo in Brisbane, and it came in the mail a few days later, so that was good. But I've got some more coming to me. I don't know what colour, but they're coming to me from Canada, from Knit Chats, because I won some, so that was exciting. So anyway, I really like that they come in the tin. Yeah, so that's the last of that. And the only other thing is that if you're wondering what this is my, this was the first knit along I participated in, and it was the first knit along hosted by Cozy Up Knits, and it's their own design. It's called the Sister Shawl, or something like that. So it's a really lovely pattern. It's got this tapered ends, and it was my first time knitting lace. So it's really nice. You have 3 colours, and so 3 skeins of 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, and it's got this really nice lace pattern. So there's that, and then these are called the Lazy Zags, and it just repeats that through to the other end. And this is all beautiful yarn from, oh my god, why has my brain failed me? I've got brain blank. I'll put it up at the bottom. Ginger Snap. Ginger Snap, that yarns. So I'll put a link below. But anyway, these colorways aren't available now, but they have a range of lovely yarns. They ship worldwide, but if you're in the US, obviously it'd be more economical. But it's a really nice long scarf shawl. So And a really first time knitting, I'd only knit one shawl before this one, and it was my first time knitting lace, and it was so easy. They had videos on how to do stuff, and they had really clear instructions on how to do it. So definitely, if you're wanting to try something fancy, get the pattern for this. It's still available in their Ravelry store. And I don't know if they've transferred it over to any of the other sites, but there you go. So that's all for today, folks. My usual haphazard, random, non-organized. I'm not one of those YouTubers that has the nice editing with the, we're now going to talk about works in progress. And I always wish I could be like that, but I never end up being like that. I literally was thinking, oh yeah, I'd like to do a video today, and I didn't organise it, and then I thought, no, it's too late now, it's getting dark, I won't worry. And then I went out and did the plants, and then I just literally walked in and went, oh yeah, I'm going to do a video now, and I didn't put any thought into it as usual. Anyway, I hope you haven't been bamboozled by my random subject matter and stuff like that. But anyway, that's all, folks. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, and happy stitching. Bye.